Yippee-ki-yay, cow-wow, bang-bang, woohoo! Hello, everybody. That's our new intro. It was my, I saw that in South Park. Cartman was wearing these really cool glasses. Anyways,
It's
hello,
really
everybody.
cool
Welcome to our next
glasses.
podcast. This is number 5. I'm here with my buddy
5.
Brandon. We're on the opposite sides today, but that's probably just in my own view, and it won't affect anything else.
No,
So,
you.
Brandon, how are you
I
doing? How
think
was
it
your
is your
week?
view. My week has been good. It's been long. It's been smoky. I've been tired. Smoke is just wearing me down. We can't breathe here. It's
Still, eh?
well, the fire is I think the biggest in BC now. The one right by, right, 20 clicks from us.
My parents
So
just came
just
home from Saskatchewan, and their fires are getting worse. We still don't have any over here in BC, but
you mean MB, BC?
MB, yeah. I was making sure you're listening. That was
Yeah,
my
that's what you're
test,
doing.
and seeing if you're actually paying attention to what I'm saying.
Yeah, sure. We'll
And it
go
looks
with
like
we'll
you
go
are,
with
so I
that.
much appreciate that. I appreciate that very much, Brandon.
You're anything for
Sign of
you.
a good
Don't worry.
friend.
I got you.
Sign of a good
It's
friend.
it's how we do it. You fucking retard.
What's Don't think about this too hard. Very first thing that comes to your head. Very first song that gets stuck in your head from a commercial. Whether it's a commercial specific song or if it's a song that's a normal song but played during a commercial.
Hungry Eyes, the Swiffer commercials. I don't know why,
Nice,
but that's
good,
just
good one.
right
Yeah,
there.
I would
The kid who'd sing the mop
consult
would
a
be singing or
therapist,
whatever.
see what they think. Why does that first come to mind? Huh. Not bad. All right, not
What?
bad.
Okay, how about you?
Um, J.G. Wentworth, call 877 cash now. That one, that's the first one.
The fucking lawyers from fucking like the eastern
J.G.
area, I'm pretty
Wentworth,
sure
call
eastern US
177 cash
fucking
now.
coast.
Something like that. I just remember that. Pretty good one.
Pretty good one.
Those
Pretty
are
good one.
both pretty obscure from both of us. They weren't a very normal
I
advertisement.
see, like, I always
You probably
remember
just
like
saw them
being
a
home
lot.
from school. You'd be home from school one day, and when you're like 7 years old, 6 years old, and you'd be watching these shitty family like the game shows, and those would be the commercials on them because you're on some American network, and it's the
Well, you
weirdest
look
shit
forward
ever,
to.
and the so super catchy commercials every time.
Yeah, man. Um, I could probably like list off several of these old phone numbers for the companies just by trying to remember the song and singing the song. Like their advertising worked very well. Stuck in my subliminal.
It's good.
Um,
It's catchy. It's such a good rhythm. It's like, all right, I'm gonna keep talking. Okay, here we go.
fuck yeah. To be fair, I haven't seen many advertisements that go longer than 10 or 15 seconds for the past couple of years. I haven't watched TV, and
See,
everything I see on the internet is skippable.
I was just gonna say I don't watch ads for TV anymore. Honestly, like I have every single subscription service you could imagine, so I just
Right?
use those, and I just like I don't
It'd be.
need TV unless I'm like stuck in a
No, I don't
hotel or
need
something.
TV
But
either.
even then, it's like don't really pay attention to it if it's on.
Straight up. It's on for being on. I need some noise when I'm sleeping, so if I'm ever in a hotel, it's my music on my
It's
phone, or yeah, I leave the TV on.
it's nice in a
And then,
hotel though because like the hotel, there's so much shit going on. It's always so loud. You have something in the background. You just
some for you,
put your brain the other direction, in a sense, I guess.
not buddy next door going, oh yeah, who's your daddy? That would piss anybody off. Any hotel about $75 a night or less, you get that
What
about
were
80%
you
of the
even
time.
saying there?
What? I said, oh yeah, who's your daddy? That was my imitation.
I mean, that was we couldn't hear that. It
You
was
couldn't
so
hear that.
it was so distorted from the fucking way you were saying you're talking in your mic. That was too good.
Perfect. Perfect.
That's why it kind of worked. Nice kind of dust you got there.
Thank you. Now you know very well my history with these bad boys.
Are we gonna talk about your history with those? Okay, this is terrible. I hate how you literally made a face.
So, I don't remember exactly how old I was.
It was we were
Middle
in
school?
we were either in grade 7 or grade 8,
I
probably
remember,
late grade 7, I think.
yeah, because we were still pretty young.
Yeah.
Anyways, I had a can of air, liquid air, for air dusting. And my friend and myself were there. It was my birthday, actually. That's
Yeah,
why I
you're
brought all
having
these
a
people
party,
over.
invited all these girls
Um,
over.
we had a couple drinks, invited a bunch of girls over. I remember exactly who was there. And then yeah, Buddy and I took each a can of air and turned it upside down so when it comes out it's not air, it's like liquid air, so it's freezing fucking cold. And I drew on myself. I just shot it in the shape of a smiley face on my stomach, and I had a small scar there for a little while. Again, because it's like getting an ice burn. But the biggest thing are my nipples. So I did it to my nipples, and it burnt the shit out of my nipples. It was so painful, but after some days, my nipples peeled, and they were the bright pink, super sensitive nipples. And guess what? They still are. I'm prone to chafing. This is word of advice, disclaimer: never do that. This is dangerous stuff. You know, it says like explosion on the can, doesn't say anything about bodily harm. It says don't inhale it, don't consume it. But there's no warning on here about turn it upside down and putting it on your skin.
Is there
You know,
not? You can sue him.
could I? Yeah, no.
You could
Then I'd have to
technically sue
be
them.
publicized as the idiot who learned
That's
the hard
true.
way.
You're not wrong. Very, very true.
And I ain't no American. I don't want a label like that. Leave that for the Florida man. New warning added to liquid
Alligator
air
people.
because someone burnt their nipples with it, and we gotta tell them not to.
I remember.
Unfortunately,
See, and I love it because I remember coming back to school and you guys were like, yo, check out her fucking chest because he drew a freaking smiley face on his. And I was like, okay, you guys are psychotic. What are you doing? And these girls were like, yeah, they were trying to be cool and all that. They weren't. I was like, that's fair. I was like, I can't argue
Yeah.
with that. They probably
were
weren't very
hilarious.
cool.
but not very cool. The worst part of it was, I mean, the nipples were probably most painful. The smiley face didn't stay all that much, but I did it in my belly button too, and it burned the inside of my belly button. And my belly button was dark for years, and it looked like, I'm a big boy, so I got kind of a deeper belly button. And from
Jesus
a little bit of a distance, a deep dark belly button, it kind of looked like a butthole. It was not attractive whatsoever.
The timing at looking at the camera. Like a butthole. Fuck.
Like a butthole. Wonder how many times you can say butthole in a small period of time to make people uncomfortable.
Probably
we've already
twice.
said butthole about 5 or 6 times.
I feel like twice, and they're like, oh, okay, this is turning into something. Like, third one's gonna call a giant butthole, like Trump.
I never saw that anywhere. Of all the mean things ever, I never saw or heard anybody
Butthole.
call Trump a butthole. Specifically. He was... Which one was he in South Park? Because it was Mr. Garrison and Hillary Clinton, and there was a turd sandwich and a giant douche. Which I think
Yes,
he was...
Mr. Garrison was
Like, it started out
Trump.
as that, and then it turned into him being Trump.
Yeah.
Or looking like Trump, remember?
and being Trump.
All celebrity personalities that may or may not have been put on in South Park were all unintentional, as per their disclaimer in the beginning. That's how they get away from being sued.
Oh,
I also saw
I fucking like that.
a 2-minute clip of an interview from Matt, one of the creators, about their opinion on like cancel culture and all these other cartoons getting flack for racist, sexist, homophobic, whatever, inappropriate jokes. And the interviewer asked him, why isn't South Park canceled? You're probably the worst of the worst adult cartoons out there. And he said himself, the reason they haven't been canceled is because he thinks he's been waiting to get canceled. Like, they've been trying to get canceled, and it's just become their culture. If they haven't, it's been some 20 years now, and they haven't been canceled yet. Like, why get canceled now? They're just gonna keep going for it, and they could care less. So they're not giving people the reaction they want out of it, and no one bothers with South Park. They're immune to cancel culture because they've always
embraced
been
it.
absurd.
It's an interesting concept, and I think we've talked about this in our first podcast. But
we could have.
it's amazing because it's the shows like Family Guy and South Park and American Dad that don't get canceled because they're straight up, yeah, we're offensive. What are you gonna do about it? And people just accept that. And the
And that's
moment
a
something comes in, it's like,
really
okay, there's a problem here. When it's not offensive, people just get offended.
it's a smart play. I mean, to be totally honest, being true to your beliefs and standing up and saying, no, 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 you're not gonna bully me to cancel or change my creative and intellect and how I want to portray my comedy. Like Marilyn Monroe, she's not a comedian or doesn't make, but same thing. She was scrutinized and had a lot of controversy around the original photos showing up when she was above an air vent and it was shooting her skirt up and she was
Mhm.
holding it down with one hand, like the most famous of her lewd photos. Um, she embraced it. A bunch of people started saying, "Hey, that's inappropriate for women. That's slutty. That's porn starish." And she was like, "Nah, I'm a sexy ass woman. I'm gonna do it." And she did it some more, and people got on board. Said, "All right, she's owning it, and I'm just gonna jump on board." And then she became the sex symbol for the next 50 years. So
I think if you
it's a good
force,
strategy.
I
It's
think yeah,
weird.
I think if you force that the acceptance on people, they don't know what else to do but just either walk away or accept it. Like it's
Yeah,
when
yeah.
you when
Don't
when you're
back down
when
right
you're
away.
unreliable, especially when like in this case where it's a legal thing, there's nothing technically wrong with it on a legal standpoint. It's just
Yeah,
judged. It's like you just gotta force it on people because it's really not that bad. You do you. If you want to
yeah.
be
You
standing
do
over an
you.
event, you do you.
You're not
Take a picture like that.
physically
Fuck
harming
yeah.
others. I'm pretty usually okay with whatever the hell
Pretty
anybody wants to do.
usually okay.
Yeah, that's just my most ambiguous way to say it. So covers my ass in most directions when I say pretty usually okay. It's like the more advanced version of a maybe. It's called cover my ass. Being a silver tongued devil, being a smooth talker, being a charming. I got those linguistic skills, brother. I got this. You have a really nice shirt, but is that a sweater or a shirt?
It's a sweater. It's
Hmm.
it's actually a Cloverdale paint sweater. It's very comfortable. It was free and it's great. It is wonderful. And if you go to a Cloverdale paint in Canada and you ask really really nicely, you may or may not get one.
Well, I don't think so. I have enough Cloverdale paint apparel. You gave me a toque. I don't know if you gave it to me or if I just took it, but I was wearing it and I have it
Is
still, and
that
it's a
where my
very
Cloverdale
small
toque went?
black. I
I
figured you gave it to me. I didn't
I
think I'd steal
no,
it unless it
I
was
can
an
get another
accident.
one. I can get another one. I love
I'm pretty
Cloverdale swag.
sure
It's great. It's comfortable and it's free. Like the
it's a
shirts
very
are great.
small black toque, but I'm pretty sure I wore it because I'd left a toque out partying when I was with you, and I really wanted a hat, so I
I think
used it.
I'm
I'm
pretty
pretty
sure
sure
I
you
gave
let me
you
use
one.
it, but I
Yeah.
don't think you let me take it, and I just took it because
Whatever. I can get
it was
another
on
one.
my head and in my shit. I traded you hats. You see that little
Yeah, I
pointy
got
pointy
this
hat in
one
the
right
background?
here. You left that one here last time you were here.
Yeah, we did a trade. That's the most unique hat I've ever owned outside of, like my top hat. Yeah, sure, that's unique for my collection, but other
Mine
people
is.
have top hats. I don't know how many other people have that hat back there.
I want a fedora, like a really nice fedora. I don't know if I could pull it off. I just want one.
Um, yeah, try it. I don't know if you could pull it off. I have a fedora. I couldn't pull it off. Haha, big surprise, right? Fat guy with a neck beard. How can I pull off a fedora? But no, it just doesn't look good on me. But I've never had a quality fedora, just like $10, $15 fedoras
Yeah,
from random
I
places.
want like a Louis V fedora or something like that. My
I
weirdest
want a
hat though
bowler cap.
is this one right here. People that don't know, this is actually a hat. This and for everyone listening, I'm pointing at a Woody the Woodpecker hat that I got from Universal Studios. It was a good story. I found it. I was hanging out with this fucker, and we were with a few other people, and we were walking through Universal Studios. This was grade 9 at the point. It was a band trip. And we were just having a good time, and we were walking through, and I was like, I need that hat in my life. I need this Woody the Woodpecker hat in my life. And so I walk up and I buy it, and I'm wearing it, and this fucking guy comes up to us. He's like, "Hey, Peckerhead, what's going on?" or something like that.
And the
You remember
guy was a
that? He
worker.
called me
He
a
was a
Peckerhead. Yeah, he
worker. He
worked
was an
there.
employee.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm just down there with my Woody the Woodpecker hat, and he's like, "What's up, Peckerhead?" I was like,
Oh,
"All
and you couldn't
right."
do nothing but just laugh
Yeah,
and giggle and say,
pretty
okay.
sure that's all I did was laugh. I was like, "Okay, that's fair."
Oh, fucking hilarious. Yeah, well, I don't know. It was like a security guard, if I remember correctly.
something like that. I can't remember, but he was like all staged and dressed up,
Some sort of, yeah. He had a uniform on, that's for sure.
and we sat there and we talked to him for like fucking 5 minutes or so, 10 minutes, and just sat there and talked to him. It was a great time. I remember that. Just like
Universal Studio Disneyland trip was fun.
it
man.
was fun. It was a lot of fun. I remember you and Chase fucking talking to the fucking robots.
Oh yeah, when Buddy and
Negatron.
Buddy and myself went up and we talked to Megatron and.
He called him Negatron with an N because he was being so negative.
Yeah, we pulled off a couple puns and he was just
And
like,
then
really,
he called you
really
Bieber.
motherfuckers?
He called
Really, motherfuckers?
he used the
Called Buddy
Bieber haircut, yeah, against
That was
him.
the times. What year was that? 2016, 2015?
No, I
2014?
graduated. 2016's graduated. I was like
Yeah, you're right.
20,
2014 then.
20
2013.
no 2013 or 2012. 2013 probably. Almost 10 years ago now.
That's gross. Stop making me think that. You know how long that is? You know how old I'm getting? I'm 23. I'm 23.
Yeah,
We've had
we're
this
23.
conversation before too.
And it's
But
and people are probably laughing at us like, come on, man, give me a fucking
It's
break."
terrifying, man. I've had way more existential crises than any 23-year-old should ever have. And that only means
Probably
I'm
pretty
going to have
normal.
more.
You'll figure it out.
I hope fucking so. I hope it's just not a never-ending series of existential
I get them once in a while. I'm like,
until
oh
you don't
god,
have
oh
them
god,
anymore
why
and
do
you're
I
dead.
exist? Why is everything here? Like,
Well,
you know-
fucking, that's a little crude, but yeah. Essentially, I guess.
I was putting it blatantly.
In layman's terms, simple, summarized, simplistic. I'm thinking of getting a Grammarly account. You know Grammarly, yeah?
Yeah, I know Grammarly. It'll do all your
Because-
grammar for you. Cause who needs to know fucking English, right?
Well, that's no. Totally the other way. I think it'll teach me. Like
I
just
don't-
using it
I don't,
instead
cause
of
it'll
just being.
it'll autocomplete it all, and you won't look, and you'll click send.
Well, that's I gotta be actively, realizing what gets corrected.
You're gonna get
to
complacent.
learn.
You're
But-
gonna get
Well,
complacent.
that's what happened with myself with autocorrect, and who didn't that happen with autocorrect?
Exactly
I
my
can't
point.
spell for shit. But it's self-discipline exercise, I understand. It's my nature and absolutely my habit to become complacent with that kind of thing if it's automated, if it's doing it for me. But if I actively want to get better at syntax and grammar, and it would be a good tool if I could sit down, actually go through and properly learn with it rather than just have it correct everything and make it all good for me. And on paper, again, with words, talk is cheap. I can say I'm going to do that every day, all day long, no problem. The same way I can say that, starting tomorrow, I'm never eating carbs, never eating sugar. I'm just going straight workout 12 hours a day, and I'm going to become the next strongman. Like, talking is cheap. And it's really easy to convince myself of a lot of things. I'm one of my own worst enemies in a way. But Grammarly in itself is something I did want to try. Who knows? It might help with a lot of personal stuff as well as professional opportunities. I don't know how much it's taken into account so much, especially after you've known your bosses for several years. Are they really scrutinizing your emails for syntax? I don't think so. But it'd still be good to know. Self-improvement, right? That still has some value.
So you let me know how this goes. I'm really interested because I think I have my money on you getting complacent.
You think so? I think so too. That's the most likely outcome. And like I'm
And if
saying,
you're gonna get like the Pro Edition or whatever, the that you can, pretty sure you can get with Grammarly, you're just wasting your money at that point. Or maybe you're not.
Or maybe you're not. Oh, it's not like it's going to be a direct translation into increased income somewhere else, but cheaper than going to an English course at a university, I guess.
In a
Just
sense,
thinking
but
it
then you
might be a
don't
kind of cheap
learn the
alternative, and
logics.
maybe if we talk good enough about it, and this is a segue into next episode where I say, hey, Grammarly's actually amazing, and check out my referral link down in the description, and we get 30% of how, like, if that worked out that way and we got sponsored, then that's a totally different story. We're making money. No matter how good the program is, we're going to sing its praises all day long. I mean, I say we all the time, but that's
Yo,
just because
Grammarly.
my multiple. Oh, yeah. Hey, Grammarly.
hit us up.
So, We should email this to them. I wonder if anyone will
We
want to
should-
watch it. Just straight up, their generic customer support. It'll take a month to get through the system. Someone will read the email. Someone will get a link, and someone in the administration team will think, "Do I open this video? Do I send it to IT to see if it's full of viruses, or do I just ignore it as spam?"
It'll be
take
on
about a month for
YouTube.
them to deliberate. Yeah, you're right, and it would be a proper link. You know, if anybody's
what I
worked
mean.
in a corporation and they have anti-piracy or cybersecurity training, my link is legit. They won't be able to say it's not legit, so they could totally click on it.
It'll be on YouTube. Yeah, don't worry about it. It doesn't hurt. I mean, yeah. Also,
Oh,
like, Grammy
also-
hit us up.
Tell me if this would be a gimmick, or if this would be cheesy, or if this would be lame, or if this would be hilarious or productive. You know, give me your opinion on. I want to, once we get call it a dozen podcasts, or maybe 10, I want to stick them all onto a CD or a USB and go hang out in the middle of my town at one of the stoplights and fucking hand them out. Fucking, hey man, just like, hey, here's my mixtape, here's my fucking my rap album.
We're
But
going.
no,
we're
here's
going.
my podcast.
We're going old school.
Classic fucking
Unboasting.
marketing. It would
Podcast.
be like a gimmick again. I don't know if a bunch of people, if somebody did that to me and said, "Hey, here nowadays,"
So-
and said, "Hey,
so-
here's my mixtape," I would fucking
Yeah,
be like,
they're-
"That's
they're-
hilarious."
They're gonna
Then do
they're
it.
gonna get to this episode and they're gonna be like,
These motherfuckers
got me.
planned this shit out.
"What?" I mean, absolutely. You do you. If you want to do that, the all power to you. But make sure you link our shit. Link our
Oh,
YouTube.
yeah, well,
Link our
it'll just
Spotify.
be. You're right. So, if it's a CD, I'll just have MP3s of all our podcasts instead of video files, and README text. That's
Can I read me
all of our that has links to all
No,
of
no,
our
no, no.
social medias.
Just put a .html in there, and just
Uh-huh.
put the link in a .html file.
The
in
links to all our things. Yeah. And then I can say when I'm on the street, hey, beautiful podcast. We got lots of good information. We know what's going on nowadays, and we got beautiful voices to boot. You know, please give this a listen on your way home. Come on, it's a CD. Pop it in. No harm. Like, I
Well,
market
if
that
it was
all
a
day long.
CD and we had just links, then it wouldn't work. But if we put the MP3s and the links on, then it would.
Yeah, because then depends if they stick it in their car. Listen, cool. That's better than nothing. And we can do a verbal. This is our link. Or even if we do that as a separate, and I have it as like track 1. Intro. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our podcast session. This is our, and I just get us to record that separately so that I have that as its own 15-second MP3 file, and I can add that to CDs and itemize our podcast on a CD. And for podcasts, I mean USBs, it'll just all be different files. Once we get to 10 or 12 podcasts, we'll record our own little marketing intro, and I'll do that. I'll absolutely sit out there and fucking do that, man. That'll be fun. I think if anyone in this town that I'm living in thinks like us, they'll think I'm being fucking hilarious and they'll listen to it. So, even if I get 1 or 2 people to actually click on the links and make a comment or make a like or come back for the next episode, like, it's a win. It's a win. It's a win.
And thanks for listening to the trailer for episode 5 of What the Conversation. I'm just kidding. No, basically, it was with that. We're just advertising what we're gonna do, what you want to do. All of it.
That would be fun, man.
I could see you doing it. I wouldn't do it because we got a lot of fucking crackheads in this town.
What do you mean? I live in a town kind of similar as you, except for crackheads over here. It's meth heads over here.
I won't get into it on the
Sure,
podcast, but it's
Probably maybe not too much detail.
it's
but-
real bad right now.
I totally understand. I mean, we've had a rise in those things, those issues since the past year and a half pandemic, right? But no, without getting into I don't know how much we want to talk about that kind of stuff on our podcast, but I mean, my office building that I work at is in a very sketchy part of town, and I see lots of things, just people hanging out in alleys by the side of the street, doing their thing all the time.
I live or work in a pretty centralized area, and we see it every single day, multiple times a day.
It's just that bad, huh?
It's turned into regular foot traffic.
Brutal. A little
And
bit
it's
sad. A little
new
bit
person
sad.
every day. It's a different person or multiple different people every day in
Yeah.
groups. I had one guy. Was it yesterday? 2 days ago. 2 days ago, I was leaving work, and so where I leave from work, you pull onto the service road, and then you pull onto the main highway. So if you know by McDonald's there, where there's that service road, and then you get onto the strip.
Yes.
So I was on farther down from there, and it's a service road, and you pull onto the service road and you stop, and you have to turn hard right because you're going in the complete opposite direction of where I wanted to go to turn onto the strip. And there's this meth head who's walking down, and I'm staring down the highway, and the sidewalk's right beside the highway. And I'm staring down, trying to go. I'm waiting for vehicles to pass, and I'm just watching the highway so I have my opportunity to get out and pull out and go on the strip. And this meth head's walking up to me, and he sees me kind of glide. I see him in my peripheral vision, or whatever it's called, and he's walking by, and he notices me looking down. So he starts doing this, and he starts screaming at me, and he's just like,
Yeah.
and he starts screaming at me and beaking me off in the car. And I looked at him, so I looked at him as soon as I had the opportunity to go. I stopped and I looked at him and I smiled at him. And I pulled away. And I was like,
Yeah.
why? What are you? Are you really? If you're that self-conscious, conscious about being high, why are you getting high and walking down the street? Like, thinking everyone's watching you, man, you got issues. Stop doing drugs.
Yeah. If you can't handle your shit, stop it.
I was like, what the hell? I was talking to some of my coworkers and boss, and they're like, you should have just yelled at him. And I was like, I totally probably would have seen what he said, but I was like, I kind of just wanted to leave. I was like, I'm already trying to get onto the highway. I'm got my opportunity. I'm just gonna take
Missed
it.
your light. Another car is gonna pull out. You're fucking gonna get stuck there again. It's not worth it. Not worth it. Especially when he's not gonna fucking register what you're saying.
No, that's
or
true.
Care, or remember, anyways. So.
No, wake up the next day. Oh, what a good day yesterday was. Not even know.
Pretty much. But
yeah, it was really fucking funny.
Unfortunate.
It's sad. It's sad. I don't know how bad it's getting worldwide, but I've noticed getting worse here. I do know that they're trying to push more of that activity around here because there's so much of it in the northern BC state towns. But it definitely is getting bad, and it's sad, but it is what it is. We are getting a homeless shelter now.
I thought you already had one.
Nope. Like a true homeless shelter, like a big facility.
Well,
right beside one of the rec arenas.
That says two things, good and bad things. One is the city's allotting funds and they're actually going through with making something that's probably very needed. Two, it's a bad thing because it's become so needed that it's forced the city's hand that they're actually going to have to do it.
But we're also at the point where we are turning into a city. Bigger buildings are getting built. A lot of people moving in.
Yeah,
We are expanding out we're expanding out to Kimberley now a lot more. Like, we're almost touching Kimberley now in a sense.
It's been footmarked for a while.
Yeah.
Like the expansion of Cranbrook.
Yeah. It's only been happening though.
But I haven't seen it for a handful of years.
And it's
especially
only
from a topographical or chart point of view. Just from driving through it, it's not all that noticeable. But I didn't drive through all of Cranbrook,
if you drove through it now, you would notice it. Like, from the last time you visited to now, you would notice it. Believe it or not, and it's not been that long. It's been 7 months since you've been here.
They get rid of any of the burned down old broken buildings, or
a lot of them are all torn down. Some of the lots are for sale now, and one of the restaurants is rebuilding.
Lots for sale. I figured if they're doing a bunch of resurgence in construction, if those lots were owned by the city, they just build them into something. But if they're not owned by the city and they're selling them, then
they're all private. They're all being sold. Because we just got Edo Japan, which is the first for us. That's bigger city type of a fast food joint. It's a mall food, Edo Japan. We are getting a lot of new bars and stuff like that. A lot of more new traditional restaurants and stuff like that are popping up all over the place. A
Give a
lot
couple
of
of the
very large
regulars a run
apartment
for their
buildings
money.
now. Yeah, we're getting very large apartment buildings now. Lots more affordable housing is getting built. It's since COVID
Well,
started, it's been a huge expansion in our area because everybody wants to get out of the big cities, right? Only to create
well,
more big cities, I guess. But
the change in economy and the housing market because of COVID, like interest rates are at a historical all-time low, so people are wanting to build and buy as much as they possibly can. If you have the money to build and buy, now's the time to build and buy. But
yeah,
if
well,
you
you
don't,
when you're guaranteed a
you're sucked in.
0.99 fucking more percent mortgage rate, you might as well
But
go buy.
but yeah, no, that makes sense that things are booming right now
Yep.
in terms of expansion. Because yeah, this is a really shitty, cliche, cynical way of saying it, but I don't know how to phrase it better in less words. But the rich got richer and the poor just got fucked.
Yep.
In terms of the pandemic, but
And like
basically, yeah,
sevenfold, like
especially in terms of the housing market.
yeah.
Yeah, some people were forced to lower rents because people just couldn't afford rents. That's just goes to show how fucking struggling some people were. But people can buy $5-10 million infrastructures and housing projects and stuff because interest rates are never lower because people need to buy and sell. It's been shooken up, and if you have money, it's a very fantastic news for you. If not, you just wish you had more money so that you could take advantage of it, but you can't. Same. I mean, if I had $100,000 in the bank, I'd absolutely invest in realty in the past year. I would have absolutely invested in realty.
That's a hell of a damage deposit or down payment into a mortgage. $100,000. Fuck. That's a third of your. That's a third or a fourth of your house. Yeah, that's a third of your fourth of your house.
You want a 2 or 3 story house? Yeah, that's a good chunk of just buying the whole house off. But
so 20 years, you're only 16.
It's big, but I haven't been able to think about planting roots that permanent anytime soon. We're still kind of figuring our shit out, and that's a weird give and take. I like to complain about being old and I don't have time to do anything left, but I still haven't figured my shit out yet. So it's like I haven't even started.
And you're not even. It's at that
nice
point, you're not even really
hypocrite.
old.
Just feel it.
Like perspectively, my brother's 26 this year, and he's just buying his first house. One of them just bought his first house.
I mean,
so like we got lots of time, you know what I mean, in that respect, because we're not actually old. We keep saying we're old, but we're not actually old.
Oh, we just feel it. But I mean, like, for buying a house, it's pretty subjective. I mean, there's no super. Yeah, I'm sure if you did all the math and had all the numbers, you can find an average and a mean, but there's no real point of reference. Like, I know people who've bought in houses because they've gotten luckier. They're really well off at 20. I know people that never buy a house. They're not bad. They're not stupid. They're just kind of how it worked out. Or they don't buy a house till they're 30 or 40, or they're married.
Yep.
It seems pretty ambiguous as to when's,
well, and that's what I mean.
Accepted
like, it's
or
not,
expectable or normal to be able to buy a house.
It's not like it's abnormal that we're not there.
No.
If you feel like
there's so many outside factors.
Yeah.
Relationship, occupation, pets, family,
location.
Health. Location.
But yeah, a lot of things.
Global
education,
pandemic,
things like
no global pandemic. Something that's a little bit of an obstacle for some people. Not everyone. Some people find the pandemic tough.
Just going off. You keep rambling.
I'd like to ramble sometimes, but not all the time.
Well, you get to ramble once in a while. I'll allow it.
I like rambling sometimes, especially when I'm talking to one person or nobody.
Well, you're talking to lots of people. Yeah.
Indirectly, so I don't have to worry or gauge their responses as they're listening to me, and I don't have to adjust myself as per how the audience is perceiving my speech.
I like it.
I'm really good at winging speeches. That's like all I've done for my whole life. I love public speaking. I love performing. I love being the center of attention, and I love winging it. And I'm really good at winging it. Fuck.
I love it. It's going off about being the center of attention.
I love being the center. Yeah. What's that? It's not ironic because it's literally. I'm congruing with what I'm doing. I'm taking. Oh fuck! I spilled all over my keyboard. That's not an attempt to reclaim center of attention. I'm serious. Oh man, that's this
Holy
fireball.
fuck.
It's gonna be sticky with sugar.
It's just, Callus Fireball. God damn it.
Man, I
Oh
just gotta
man,
drink it, man.
Fireball.
Fireball, man. Well, you know what the smart move would be? You know, logically, just pure logic. You know, I just spilt my fireball. It's sticky. It's a waste. It's a mess. I have to clean it up. It takes time. There's so many negatives to where if I were to just drink it all, now here are the positives. I've drunken it. There's no waste. There's no possible way for me to spill it. There's all the negatives are negated if I choose the action of drinking the rest of my fireball. So that's just pure
You're
logic.
trying
I'm
to
thinking,
you're trying to rationalize on the podcast on that you want to finish the rest of your fireball right now
and I
and
think I'm
not
doing
be
a pretty good
perceived
job until
as
you
an
start
alcoholic.
calling me out.
But you're gonna get perceived as an alcoholic either way.
Oh, I want to
I
get
think
perceived
we-
as a comedian. That was
think-
the goal.
I think either way we're both gonna get perceived as such because we're drinking every single episode and we're drinking a decent amount.
I think
In
so.
the amount of an
I
hour, like,
That is true. Ooh, an hour. Speaking of an hour, we've been getting good at keeping an eye on that.
have we?
An hour
We're not
is a
there.
good. No, we're not there this time. Excuse me, but we have been getting good at. Excuse me. Wow. Oh my God. You know what? Also, I heard back in a remedy book that if you drink it, it's a good cure for hiccups. So that just adds to my pros list as to why I should finish this
You're
fireball. It might
all
stop
over
my
the
hiccups,
fucking map.
and it might increase the quality of the podcast.
You're
I know,
all
I
over the
realize,
map.
I
It's
realized I just
hilarious.
stopped a thought in the middle of a sentence, but it was okay because it was an appropriate segue
To what?
to what I had just said about, again, giving myself another excuse to continue drinking. That was more
Attention.
important than whatever the
The
hell I was
center of
talking about.
attention?
Yeah, something about that.
How you are?
I'm pretty good at being it. I love being it, man. Absolutely love being it. That's why I like acting.
That's fair. I've heard I've heard that actors are a whole new personality in real life. I don't know how true it is. I've never met and talked
Yeah,
to a
dude.
famous actor for long enough to know. But I've heard, and I could believe it just by like watching them and seeing what they do, and even in interviews,
They're
they are
different
fully
than how
aware
they
that
are
they're
in
different,
interviews
and
how
they've
they're-
fully accepted how they are, and I love it.
Who was a really good example of somebody who actually didn't leave character, who was in character. He was in character for like 40 fucking years. And then he retired, and then he became some totally normal weird different person, and he's just, oh, that's just me. It was The Undertaker from WrestleMania.
Oh yeah, okay.
The Undertaker has been The Undertaker as a persona for some 40 years. And he's never left that persona until he retired, and then he totally changed into whatever his real name is.
He's done. Be himself
That was
again.
his whole life. He lived his life as a character in a really cool
Improv.
way. Improv is fun. I've actually looked around for an improv club. You know, like you see in the movies that they like to say are cults, or they make to make fun of them, or that they're nerdy. I would love to be in an improv group. The only time I've ever done improv is in middle school, high school drama class.
See,
I absolutely love improv.
I would love to do it, but I don't know if I can think fast enough to do it. Acting, I could probably pull off if I really, really tried and really went and stuck to it. But improv, I don't know. I might. I mean, I can spit some stuff off sometimes.
I think you could absolutely could. I mean, improv is, in a sense, less acting than it is bullshit. You got to be able to bullshit on your feet, and you got to know how. And in a way, translate that to a skill in your head, and you'll get really good at it. It is a skill. I would call improv a skill, not just an acting technique.
Definitely.
I'd call it a fucking skill, no doubt.
Absolutely.
Acting is fun as hell. Improv is a talent. Improv is an element to acting, but it's also its own thing. Improv is one of my favorites.
That's why I always like whose line is it anyways? Because some of the things that
great
they
improv.
came up with, because it was all improv, it mind fucking blowing. They are good improv actors on that show. Like it is impressive. It's like freestyle rap. It's fucking impressive.
Pretty much. I absolutely love it. I have the confidence. I have the wit. I have most of the time the vocabulary. A lot of the times it's pop culture or knowledge that you need for a quick, witty comeback. And I've dedicated hours upon days of my own personal life and time to watching old movies, old sitcoms, old TV shows that I don't know or don't care for or I don't like, just because I want to understand a reference or I want to understand an inside joke or I want to understand something, just to apply it to my own personal comedy routine. I've put in tons of man hours in improving my personal comedy by expanding my pop culture knowledge all the way
I mean,
back to the fucking 20s.
that's fair. I
And
think
I'm
a
going to
lot
do
of
that for years still.
well, and I think a lot of like improv comes from that because a lot of improv you improvise about something you've seen or has been done type of a thing is
You
what
need
jumps in your
experience.
head to do it if that makes sense. Like
You
it
need
you
life
yeah,
experience.
yeah.
Being only 23, being able to watch old movies and TV shows and listen to radio and stuff is kind of an advantage to fast track all the stuff that I missed out on. But moving forward, when I'm 40, I'm going to be funny, even funnier than I am now, which I can't even comprehend how funny that's going to be because I'm pretty unbelievably funny as it is. So I'm just excited. We're always getting better. Get
We're
better
gonna
by watching TV.
we're gonna be the roaring 20s, but not for what the 20s were for. We're gonna be the roaring 20s for movies and stuff like that. So it'll work out that way.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, we will. We will absolutely be a landmark in history for cinematics and movies and television. With this, we talked about it in our last episode, the technology boom.
Marvel, man.
Marvel.
Marvel, man. I'm a whore for Marvel. I love Marvel. Marvel is sick. It is
Favorite Marvel
mind blowing.
character? Superhero, sorry. Or villain, I guess.
No. Marvel character is good. That's
Is
a
good.
good question. That's just a really good. Well, because like there's a lot of really interesting personalities on Marvel that you just have to like or appreciate in some way or another. But I guess because I most relate to it is Tony Stark and the arrogance. Tony Stark's probably my favorite
I
because of
guess
his
he's a
arrogance, but his
fucking.
smart and his bluntness. But like his whole methodology and his ethics are outstanding. Regardless, after the whole incident that he had that changed his life, but
Or I wouldn't have thought Tony Stark. It wouldn't come to mind. Fucking classic superheroes come to mind.
Tony
And
Stark's classic.
Iron Man is classic. Tony Stark is not classic. Tony Stark is the classic movie, isn't he? Iron Man
Tony
hasn't
Stark
been
is still in the comics
because
classic.
Iron Man's been around for for a million years, right?
Yes. Well,
And he didn't have an actor before then. He was just Iron Man, as far as I remember. But I've never been a huge Iron Man fanatic.
1963 from
Yeah, and
Stanley,
I
and
guarantee you it wasn't Robert Downey
no,
Jr.
it
by
was
then.
well, it was Tony Stark though.
Oh, it still was.
So it was still Tony Stark.
Oh, word.
Still
I'm
an
just
arrogant
totally
actor.
thinking that
Well,
Tony
cause
Stark was a real person and
well,
forgetting
no,
that he was
strong
Robert
Downey
Downey Jr.
Yeah. Well, because Tony Stark was the
Stark
arrogant rich
Industries.
guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
He owns his own
dad
company.
is the
That's
one
how he
that
did
made it.
Yeah.
His dad was the one that made Stark Industries, but yeah,
That makes
he's
sense.
yeah.
He's not a real person.
No.
I was confusing him with the actual Robert Downey Jr. Holy shit.
Or Elon Musk.
Yeah, he's a good cartoon character. I've seen him in a
Elon
couple
Musk is
cartoons
a good
fighting
comparison
Batman.
to Tony Stark, other than he hasn't decided to start selling weapons and designing weapons to kill people with that he can be a superhero in.
Yeah, do you think he's closer to Tony Stark or Batman? Bruce Wayne.
Tony Stark.
Yeah, 'cause
Personality wise.
he's extroverted. Yeah, I guess.
Personality wise, completely. Elon Musk would be the person to sit there and be like, I am Iron Man, and then that when the crowd goes wild, he like in the movie that would be Elon Musk. He would be that person. Let's be honest. His arrogance would take it that far.
I totally believe it. Fuck, I'd be eager to be that arrogant. If I was
Fuck
a
yeah.
billionaire, I'd be the most arrogant
And
person
being
in the world.
a lot of people say he's not that smart, but he is genuinely really smart. And being that smart and being that arrogant, fuck yeah, why not? You have all the
Yes.
money and power in the world at that point. It doesn't matter. Do whatever
No,
you want.
I have a family member who's IQ wise a genius, like 170s, high 170s IQ. But he doesn't act like it. If you were to just meet him on the street, you'd think he's a normal, average, everyday average Joe. But the man knows what's going on. He's smarter than anybody I've actually ever met when he applies it. And he's applying it 24/7. He just doesn't have to show that he's applying it. He can fucking be relaxed.
You gotta be impressive
Weird.
to be able to hide your geniusness and work kind of into the social world, because the social world's full of the middle IQ, and the geniuses and stuff are so aware of what everything is, what they do, and what they make it feel awkward, make it seem awkward and stuff like that.
I think plays into intelligence. I don't know the
I do,
exact
definitely,
differentials between IQ, intelligence, how smart you are, what those
and how
exact
social you
words
are. Yeah.
mean, but I think your ability to be social is part of how smart you are. Your ability to take care of your body is how smart you are. Your ability to be anything that's not directly related to, your IQ is still about how smart you are. How you
Yeah,
hold
in a
yourself
sense,
socially
but
is intelligence.
still, those geniuses could know all of that and still be. And I think it's because I think a lot of them are so literal and stuff like that too. And there's the shot. And a beer chaser. That's we're alcoholics. Anyways, I definitely think that's a lot of those people are aware of that and kind of stuff. But on the other side, the general public that is very very smart, a lot of times are more tunnel vision in certain topics, whereas geniuses know everything about everything.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on my way there. I'm like a 3/4 genius. My IQ is about 166. I'm over the threshold, but I'm still learning. So my social skills, how to handle being a genius is still not quite solidified in my how to
It's not a
in my
choice, my
brain.
friend.
So no, it is. You can train yourself. You can be born a genius, yeah, I'm sure. And I'm guarantee you can also train yourself or learn how to be a genius.
Guarantee
Yeah,
you, there's levels that make you can't. Guarantee you,
oh
there's
yeah,
something
there's
in your brain that
definitely
makes you
levels that
can't.
you can't train yourself to.
Yeah.
But you can definitely train yourself to the level of a genius without being born it. I guarantee you can.
You don't have an
Enough
eidetic
brain,
memory.
enough.
You can't sit there and read every book and memorize exactly what it
Well,
says because
that's
you take a mental picture of it and put it in a folder.
an eidetic memory is not synonymous with being a genius. Yeah, sure, it's probably a fantastic quality that assists in being a genius, and a lot of geniuses have, because if you have an eidetic memory and you're not fucking super smart, you're wasting a lot of potential. But it's not. It doesn't. It's not a requirement. You don't need to have an eidetic memory to be a genius. Maybe you're just smart enough to be able to. Oh, I realize I don't have an eidetic memory, but I'm really smart. I'm good at problem solving, and I can create a system and this and that in which way that I don't need an eidetic memory. I can do just fucking fine because I'm resourceful and I can figure it out on my own. Eidetic memory sounds like an advantage that you're born with, not an inherent trait that's required to be a genius.
I think there's some genetics that do require to be a genius to some level though.
Yeah.
You can't. I don't know. I think there's the generalized. Everyone's more of a. You can only take so much information at once type of thing before your brain just starts blocking it out. And I think most people are like that to a degree, and everyone's kind of jumps back and forth. But the geniuses pick up everything regardless, whether they can do everything hands on or they can read something and know exactly what it says, or you know what I mean. I
Yeah,
think there's that level.
I agree. I'll rephrase my original statement. I think yes, you can train yourself to the level of a genius without being born a genius, but there are many traits that are had by geniuses that you have to have been born with, such as
Yes.
the eidetic memory, or such as your brain works a certain way, that you process information a certain way, that you can't train yourself for, that makes you a genius or helps you in being a genius, that you can't train for. I agree and understand and totally believe that a lot
Yeah.
of that exists.
Because I don't think I don't think in the general knowledge you could sit there and I don't think you could sit there and train yourself to know everything about fucking 70 different topics that are super in depth
You could do a
as a
lot,
regular
but it
person.
would
You
take a
can
lot
do a
of
lot,
resources
absolutely, and
from
it takes a
other
lot of
areas.
discipline too.
And you wouldn't be able to skill cap in the other areas of knowledge
Yep.
that someone who had an eidetic memory or some sort of, something they were born with that helped them learn all that shit rather than just hard work and dedication. They can put that energy towards something else, so it's just easier for them to advance in the levels of geniuses. So I agree. If you're not born a genius, you can't be the smartest person in the world. But you can. If you're born a simpleton, you can still become smart.
Yes,
But
100%. There's a fine
you
line.
have to be born with a bunch of stuff to pass some certain thresholds to where you wouldn't be able to train yourself. Like you can't train yourself to have an eidetic memory, and that's a great
No.
example. But photographic memory, what's that next best, right? Photographic memory is the next best thing. Eidetic memory is probably the best thing, unless there's some sort of brain disorder about memory that I don't know about. To where you can just take a snapshot and fucking see it. Like,
But that's
have you
what
ever seen the
eidetic
TV
memories
show
are.
Suits?
You sit there and you
I
take
guess
basically a
there's
picture and put it in your head.
there's different levels of eidetic memories.
Yeah. Some people
that
take
makes sense.
pictures, some people take words.
And it's different from photographic, which is weird.
Yeah.
And I don't know how that feels or looks in someone's brain. Having an eidetic memory and looking at a page of numbers and rereading it in your head versus having a photographic memory and looking at a page of numbers and seeing that picture in your head. I don't fully understand the differences. All I know is it's a little more, the information is malleable when you have an eidetic memory, and a photographic memory it's more static.
So
But
right
I don't
here,
know if it's that black and white.
are you ready?
Sure.
Eidetic memory is referring to the ability to see an object for a few minutes after it is no longer present. A photographic memory is referring to the ability to recall pages or text or numbers in great detail.
So it sounds like they're both great depending on the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I misunderstood
Well,
eidetic
so
memory
I
completely.
feel like with an eidetic memory, because you can remember in such great detail, you can probably put it in your head a lot better, in certain specifics, and remember it better. That's kind of
That'd
how
be
it
fun
sounds
to
like
play
me.
with, man. It's so sad that I can't. Weed's legal and people can go get high.
Get Elon Musk's brain implant chip thing.
Yeah. No, I wonder if that's a science. If that's something that's anybody be
According to
interested
him,
in.
it is.
Investing in, taking pieces of someone's brain or and developing it into a pill. You remember the Rick and Morty episode where they took one of Simple Rick's and they hooked him up to a machine and they drained his memories and put it into cookies so that people ate these cookies and they got a spark of his memory. But that was a cartoon. You imagine if you could do that to people who were geniuses, like they tried to do with Albert Einstein. They took his brain out after he died and they tried to dissect it and figure out and read it, but they cut it up into too many small pieces to where there weren't enough cells for them to do enough research on. It was a waste. But
Speaking of Albert Einstein, did you know that they proved one of his theories was right recently?
right, that's kind of rare.
So
Which one?
he predicted that there is light at the end of a black hole.
Okay.
It's proven. I was
How's
reading.
that proven?
I
would love to see.
Let me find the actual
You don't
article.
need to give me a link right now, but put a
No.
link in the description when we put this podcast. So we're at 54 minutes right now. That'd be interesting to see. Theories being proven correct are, far and few between than just theories that can't be disproven. So that's actually really cool, exciting news. Light at the end of a black hole.
So okay, so I found a few read-ups that I will link you later after.
Yeah, link them in the description for anybody who's listening. For one of our 10 viewers who might make it to this point in the video and click on the link. Who knows? Or
Who knows?
5 years down the road when our new videos are getting 50,000 to 200,000 views, they'll come back to our old videos, and that's when they'll get the clicks, man. That's when.
That's right.
That's
They'll understand previous episodes. Ooh, right. Okay. These young, stupid motherfuckers are young and stupid, but they got it.
They got it. They got it. Anyways, Brandon, we're approaching 55 minutes. I know that's a little early. I'm just making you aware of it, but I'm saying that that's my marker to finish off my bottle and say cheers. So I will,
Finish.
hand you the floor. Stop being center of attention for about 30
Oh,
some
you're
seconds.
golden. No, I'm.
Cheers. Have at it. I love you, Brandon. I love you.
Love you too, bud. I like how we're talking about being an alcoholic and you're like, I'm not an alcoholic, and you're chasing alcohol with beer.
I learned that one a few years ago.
I see it all the time, but like, damn, I don't
Chase alcohol with
chase hard liquor.
I do if, for example, I want to talk immediately, as if
Okay,
I'm in the
fair
middle of a podcast. Otherwise, it'll take me a few seconds. You know, I'm
See-
not gonna go, holy fuck, that liquor burned my throat. Oh my god. No, but I'll fucking take a breather for a few seconds. Nice.
See, like,
Not bad.
I don't even need to
Chaser,
do
I'm good.
that. I can just slam it down, and keep going.
I
Maybe
get
that's just
cracking,
because
though.
the people I hung out with and party with, and that's kind of what we just did, is just do it. So maybe I'm just used to it. I don't know, but I mean, like, I can swig down most whiskeys without even a flinch. The only thing that makes me flinch is vodka.
Vodka's easy.
See, and
Whiskey's fine too. I mean, this is
I
whiskey.
can't do vodka.
Jack Daniels kicks my ass nowadays. I can't. Even the smell makes me sick.
I've been there.
I've went way too hard on Jack Daniels in high school, and middle school.
In middle school.
Whenever we went to, there was a bush party or a party at someone's house. I didn't have, vodka and Red Bull and shit. I had a flask or a bottle of Jack Daniels and water. And a lot of the time I'd just be a dick and just carry around a 40 of Jack Daniels and drink it out the bottle, just kind of try and flex, right? But instead of having a bottle of Growers,
drink beer. Or Mickey.
Yeah, it got really fast, being an almost 300-pound man, and I drink as much as I do. It would cost me an arm and a leg to try and get drunk consistently off beer only. So, beer's for fun, for a nice sip, for, oh, fuck yeah, cold beer after work. Still one of the greatest things to have in the fucking world. Especially if you had a long day and it's a hot drive home and you don't turn the air conditioning on. Just to make the beer better. I put myself through pain just to make the beer better. On purpose.
I wonder if that's a thing. Like, we go home and we have our nice ice cold beer, and for some reason it seems to taste way better after work or whatever, or in the hot after working on doing something outside. I wonder if that's a legitimate thing, or if that's just in our heads, and that if we went to drink like a pop or even water, it would taste the same. Like, it would just be mind blowing good.
There's probably a pretty large mentality component to it.
I think so.
If I had come home to a fresh, ice cold glass of lemonade that somebody made for me, I'm sure I'd be just as that's awesome, and it'd be just as delicious and refreshing. But thinking about the beer, wanting the beer, getting the beer, knowing what the beer has a little bit of alcohol in it.
That's what I was gonna say. Maybe it's the alcohol.
Like,
I don't know.
All of that probably plays a part into how it actually tastes. Your brain's a complex world. I'm sure all that plays a part into how a fresh ice cold beer would be more delicious than an ice cold glass of water. Because I want the beer, not the water, right? I'm sure that plays a huge part into it.
I think so. That's why I said that, because I feel like with me, it's because it's beer and it's got alcohol and it's not juice or water. It's gotta have it, and maybe I'm just a fucking alcoholic. I love beer, so I drank a lot of beer. So maybe it's just my mentality. It's true. And that's what I was thinking.
No, I think mentality definitely, without a doubt, has a huge part to play in that. How we want our beer and how it tastes so good. Your taste buds aren't all that advanced medically. Just biologically, your taste buds are pretty
Or maybe they
pretty
are.
generic, pretty standard, pretty your taste buds without any outside influence of, what you think you like or what you think you're eating or your vision or your smell or your auditory senses when you're eating a meal or you're pissed off or without any of that, just purely your taste buds. It's pretty basic on how you receive taste. Everything else is all plays a part all in one. Again,
I feel like that's true.
your vision is absolutely huge. Just biologically, green and blue foods are less appealing because our brain associates them with molds and fungus. And that is true on every senses level. Your vision, your smell, your hearing. Like, if you smell something bad, it's probably going to taste bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even if it doesn't taste bad. If you're sitting in an outhouse eating a cherry pie, it's not going to taste as good as if you're sitting at home eating a cherry pie.
That was a really, really good analogy. If you're sitting in an outhouse just eating your pie, it's not gonna taste as good as you sitting at home and eating your pie. That's
See,
so.
nobody can disagree with that.
I hate how true that is. I kind of hate how true that is.
I think from a biological, scientific, everything standpoint, all your senses have to do directly with how you taste food and beverage and anything in your mouth.
Don't mind me.
Food or beverage, you should reevaluate your life choices.
Oh.
Yes.
All right.
Reevaluate them. Don't change them. Just reevaluate them. Again, that's another ambiguous way of saying I'm not taking a stand either which way.
You totally got the anime look there too. It's so good with you because your face. Goddamn.
I just watched the Chimpokemon episode of South Park. We're like, oh, Brandon, I just got home and I just bought a new Chimpokemon. Oh.
Yeah. My point. Okay, so I want to call.
Pokemon has one extra power level and it's just beat mine and now mine is fainted. Oh.
I want to comment on your hat, by the way, because I went to the farmer's market the other day with some friends, and there's this lady that designs cooling scarves, they're called, and they got basically Orbeez in them, where you put it in cold water, it swells up and it stays cold.
Sure.
And I bought one because I thought they were really cool.
It's got Mario.
And it matches your hat perfectly, even with the background just about.
Man,
I just wanted
that's
to
something that my mama would homemade. My mama homemade this hat, and that looks like exactly like the material she'd use. She'd make it. That's beautiful. That's something that would land right in my collection. That's a fantastic little purchase you have there.
It was like $15, and she talked to me, and she's like, it lasts like 4 or 5 hours to cool, stays cold that long around your neck. I was like.
And you go to the farmer's market?
Yeah.
I guarantee you she put more time and effort in that than's worth $15.
Oh, probably.
Material.
It is, especially
and her hats and her purses and scarves and
look
shit.
At that detail.
Yeah. I mean, you go and buy that from a store, it's more than that. Especially it's a licensed product, but
look at that fucking detail. That's beautiful. I thought I couldn't say no. I was like, I'm buying that. That's fucking cool as shit.
Absolutely cool. My mama made this hat for me. She's made a couple other Mario products for me.
She should make me a hat.
Yeah? Guess what? My mama is an avid, regular listener of our podcast, and she may hear that and say, hey, you know what?
Hey, mama. Hey, mama. Hi.
Oh, that might be a very fantastic end to our podcast. I finished my drink, you finish your drink.
Speaking of which, but going back to your mama, hi, I have not seen you or talked to you in forever. Hello.
Brandon remembers you. Brandon loves you.
It's a good time. I remember it. But yes, I do agree. Probably a good time to end her there as well.
Cut her off. I think we had a very smooth podcast. I love talking to you today. It was a good time.
Center attention today, but
I'll try to be that all the time. Are you kidding me? You know that. You know me. You know me, dog.
You know me.
You know me, man.
Anyways, I love you all.
I'm the captain now. See, sorry, I did it again.
I am the captain now.
I watched Captain Phillip the other day. Podcast is over. We're not going to continue to segue. Podcast is over. This is our outro.
I love you all. Everyone
love
have
you
a great
all
night,
even
evening,
more
morning,
than
whatever
Brandon.
it is. Oh, I don't know if that's true.
When you can't prove it either, so.
Exactly.
You'll
Thanks for
just have
listening.
to
Thanks for
see.
watching. We love you.
I'll see you later, everybody. We'll see you at next podcast. Have a fantastic day and don't burn if you're Canadian.